your money, your taxes, your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry. This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs, back in your pocket.
Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. The website is letstruck.com. The show is all about the business of trucking. Today is the Power Hour. Looks like I've got Ethan and JR with me from Pittsburgh Power for now. We'll see who else might be joining us. The show is all about the business of trucking. Today we'll take your calls and answer your questions about everything maintenance. Engines, performance, fuel mileage, modifications, upgrades, troubleshooting, emissions, electrical, you name it. We'll talk about it. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call. We're going to get to those calls in just a little bit. Let's welcome Ethan and JR. Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Hi, Kevin. It's good always to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here. So is Bruce playing hooky today?
He's on an airplane, so he's got a pretty good excuse there.
I
but
guess.
John is at the moment. He and Pete and Brad all went out to lunch a little late, and that's where we're at on that status there.
Got it. Well, I think we can handle it.
Oh, I think we can.
Anything new and exciting happening over at Pittsburgh Power these days?
Oh, I know that's part of what they're doing right now is with the Dorothy, and they're out to lunch, so I don't know all the details there.
Okay. Well, good. Maybe is John coming on the show today?
He said he would whenever they get back, but I don't have an exact time for us on that one.
Got it. All right. Well, what do you say we get to some phone calls?
Oh, we absolutely can do that.
All right. Let's get started in Wisconsin today. Steve, welcome to the program.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. I appreciate the show. You got a oil sample there, and I also have a comment and a question for Ethan when we get through with that.
All right, so
that's the first oil change since I in-framed this $10,000 money truck.
Okay, and you had just about 8,000 miles on it when you changed the oil, right?
I actually changed it at 2,000. That's another 9,800 right there, another 8,000 there for this one. I just wanted to get an oil sample to make sure everything was looking good.
Got it. It's looking great. You know, for early oil change after an in-frame, it's really clean. So I think the engine went back together well. I think it's tuned and running well. This sample looks really good.
My only question, it's running great. I'm getting 1.5 miles per gallon better than I was before, so it's running great. My biggest question was, it still shows 2.6 on fuel dilution. I was at 4+ before. We did do injectors, along with the basic in-frame. Did it Detroit, factory shop, Clark Power, one of their Detroit shops. So my only question is 2.6. Is that easing up there? I know 2 is 0. Do you have any? That, and I'm going to check another one at 25 before I do anything. Also, but do you have any concern with that or the 0.5 on the soot that they may not have got the overhead? Exactly torqued like it should have been, or what do you think?
You know, it's still pretty early. The 2.6 on fuel, I wouldn't even think about. That's virtually nothing. A little bit of idling, anything could cause that. So that I think you've got the fuel issue taken care of with the new injectors. 0.5 on soot, again, we're really early into this oil change after an in-frame. So I think both of those are going to continue to get better.
Okay, and one of the concerns we had, I got it to Pittsburgh Power. Ethan will remember the ECM where the battery was exploded about a month ago. You remember that, Ethan?
Oh, I do at that.
Thank you. I don't know how. I only had one issue coming in there, and I called John, or I texted John the day before, told him what was happening, and he said, "Yeah, we'll get it in here. We'll look at it." The master mechanic at Detroit power washed with a 4,000 psi power washer, and he was all down there where the ECM was. And I think John mentioned that you had found that the seal had been pushed back and the battery exploded. The only issue I had was every 30 minutes it would not allow my fan to turn on, and I had to pull over because I was getting up to near 215, 218 on the temp. I'd cut it off. I'd cut it back on. It would reset. The fan would come on. I could drive another half an hour. I did that for a day and a half till I got to you guys a month ago. Since you've done your magic, I stay between 173 and 179 all the time on the temp now, so it's working perfectly. And even on Fancy Gap with a 40,000-pound load, I only got to 191, and I was giving it some pretty good boost. I wanted to make sure these ring seated. So the guy at Detroit said drive it hard up a hill for the first month to make sure everything seats tight, and so it's actually been very wonderful on that regard. But I do have another question for Ethan. I'm having an issue, and I'm probably going to have to get it in there to you and let you crawl all over it with a multimeter or one of your real good electrical guys. The issue I'm having is everything is good. I've got 14.1 at the alternator. I've got 14.1 on the batteries when the truck started up. The alternator's kicking the juice over to it. My scan gauge and my and the dash both have me right now at about 13 because I have lights on and windshield wipers on because it's raining up here. If I turn those off, it'll go up about 4 or 5 tenths on both of those meters that are on the dash and on the scan gauge. Where could I be getting a voltage drop when I put a little bit of a load on it like that when I'm running? What could be we've looked at every ground on the truck. We've done a lot of things, but to check for it, but we haven't found anything that could cause that. What is your best idea on that, Ethan?
On that, one thing I would want to check is, even though you can check the ground visually, some of these cables, they rot out from the inside, and unless you cut them in half, you'll never actually know the answer. So it can't hurt to run a few new grounds. It's a cheap, inexpensive, trial, and it can't hurt anything. And I would run one from the cab to the frame, and then from the frame to the batteries. And that it sounds like your cab's not seeing the full power.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, and I don't want it to cause me any other problems. Sometimes when you have issues with electrical like that, it'll start, you'll have things like your cell phones and stuff like that will start burning, kind of messing up from the inside if voltage drops too much. And I don't want that to happen. So just, in other words, we know we got good tight grounds at the grounds, but we don't know what's inside the rubber going back to the other end. Okay, I can understand that. So adding some new ones can never hurt. Okay, that's one thing. All right, so I get that done. I'll check back with you. I'm going to be getting with you guys in a month or so, or a month or two. I want to get the crankshaft damper changed and a couple things. But I may also have you put it on the dyno and with this Series 60, I know you already have a lot of programming that you've already done. But I'm really not looking at anything custom, but I may have you put a little bit bigger program in it. It runs good now, but I'm getting ready to change out to a 13 speed and going to change my rear ends out in the near future also. So I'm going to want that 264 like Kevin talks about. I can run in 11. So I want to make sure everything's right before I go to that far though on those things. But it seems to be running fantastic, and you worked magic with that with your rebuild of you basically rebuilt it. You took it off and cleaned up everything, put the battery in, and did all that. And I'm going to tell everybody that's listening that is a very cost-effective thing to do, because I called Detroit. They said, "Oh, you just probably need an ECM at $2,500." So, so I do appreciate what you did there.
Oh, you're welcome there. And one thing that's worth mentioning about these batteries, it's really funny when they can go dead and they don't cause as much problems, but when they explode inside, funny things tend to happen. I've seen it where it'll shut the truck off randomly. You name it, it can cause a wide variety of issues.
Right.
All right, there's the music. We've got to get to a break. We're going to come right back and get to more of your calls and questions right after this. Stick around. I'm Kevin Rutherford. All right, a quick heads up. We dropped a bunch of calls that we had screened, so if you want to jump in right now is your chance to get through. Press 1 on your phone. The sooner you do it, the better your odds, and we should be able to get to you if you do it right now. Here we go. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. The website is letstruck.com. This is the Power Hour. I've got Ethan and JR from Pittsburgh Power with me. We're going to get back to your calls and questions. We're off to Texas this time. Mike, welcome to the program.
Hey, how you guys doing? Got a question. I got a 2013 Freightliner Cascadia, Cummins IXX. Question I have is, how often should this thing regen? I'm regenning every, 300, 400 miles, and for one, I can smell it regen, and of course the RPMs go up while I'm driving, or if I put it in neutral, I can see the RPMs raise. And I'm getting a little bit of smoke in my cab when it regens. So I guess the first question is, what causes that smoke, and then how often should it regen?
Uh-oh. Hold on. Let me, sorry, guys. Ethan, JR, I forgot to bring you in. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll start my little speech again here. The 300 to 400 miles is way too often to be doing a regen. And what you told me, a key thing here, is that you're getting smoke in your cab. On these trucks, there's a flex pipe right after the turbo, and that flex pipe tends to break. And when it does that, it'll let the smoke go into the cab, and it won't let it complete a regen, and then it fails to light properly because it's losing the heat from the exhaust. And when it does that, then it kicks out, and then it says, hey, I still want to regen, and 400 miles it tries it again, and it's stuck in an infinite loop. So the first thing I would do is check that flex pipe after the turbo.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely get that checked. And I'm getting no lights or anything that's, requesting a park regen or nothing of that nature. I can just, tell it's going into a regen while I'm driving. So I'll definitely get that flex pipe checked, and I appreciate it. But so how often should it regen on a normal engine?
It depends on the application. If you're over the highway, it's going to be, I've seen it between like once every 3 weeks. The well site trucks tend to do it more because they sit there and idle a lot more. So it's all on application, but anytime it goes into a regen every 3 to like 500 miles, there's an issue with the system.
All right, guys, I appreciate it, and thank you for that advice on the flex pipe. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. We're going to head off to Virginia this time. Roger, welcome to the program. It's your turn. Roger?
Hello?
Yep, you're there. Go ahead.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Quick question there. I had my truck up Pittsburgh Power, and they did work on the computer and turned it up to high fives, not quite 600. It's a 98 Detroit. And I seem to have a lot of pyrometer temperature problems here, and I did before they did it also. I can get up to 10, 11 pretty easy on the hills. 1,000, 1,100, whatever.
Okay, remind me which side of the turbocharger your pyrometer's in.
On the after the turbo.
Okay, so it is getting a little warm. I know we would have checked for the boost leak, but it doesn't mean that one wouldn't have developed. How much boost are you making?
It'll make 40 pounds.
Okay. Making good boost.
I mean, I have plenty of power, even before, I had good power, and I had to watch the pyrometer. Then you guys put your program in it, and I still have the same pyrometer problem, but I have, more power.
Yeah, now one thing I can't remember off the top of my head, and this will be worth checking. Let's check to make sure the pyrometer is actually accurate. I've seen it where they sometimes will tend to drift. Yeah, we have a tester here for that, and I don't remember if we tested it while we were here. But it would be worth testing the pyrometer at this point.
Okay, yeah, because I have plenty of power, but I have to drop a gear and cool it off. People talk about 800, 900. Well, if I'm going to stay there, I may as well stay at the house because it's always going to be more than that.
You said you can drop a gear and lower the pyro temperatures. What RPM are you pulling hills at?
Well, I'll watch it. I'll be 2,000, 2,100, and then whenever as you lug down there, then it'll start climbing. Then I'll drop a gear to fan it better, and then it'll get back down. If I watch it, I can keep it at the 9 range on a hill, but I'm not able to use the power that I have. You really wouldn't want to put anybody else in the truck. You wouldn't want anybody else to drive the truck. You have to watch it just a little too much.
Yeah, I would, again, want to verify that the pyrometer you have is correct. Like I said, we have a tester for that, or I don't believe we did it at the time, we put our own in for the dyno, and then the computer will log it, and then I can compare it versus what yours tells us.
Would that be on the records from when you worked on it?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look it up, though. I don't have them in front of me here.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, because I was up 2 times. I was up one time, I was having a water temperature problem. So then you guys turned it back, to stock to see if that helped my problem, and it didn't. Then when I come back up, you guys put your tune in it, and I did find my water problem, though. And like I said, just the only problem I have with it's the pyrometer temperature right now, exhaust temperature.
Is the mufflers on this original, or which ones are on this?
It's straight through.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we didn't have an exhaust restriction of any kind that would make the pyro a little bit hotter than what we would like to see.
Yeah.
But I think the next step there would be to test the pyrometer, make sure it's giving us an accurate reading. I've seen it a few times where you get one and it can be off.
Sounds like a plan. Let's head off to Georgia this time. Frank, welcome to the program.
Yeah, I'm buying a Averett International. It's a 10-speed automatic with 247 rears. My question is, can I order a Dorothy and have my mechanic to install that, or is that something that has to be done at your shop? Or because I never get up to Pittsburgh.
Well, what I know so far about it is we're in the process of making kits for the trucks that we have seen. So, and until we see that exact truck, we won't be able to offer a kit for a mechanic yet because a lot of the pieces are hand-fabbed in-house.
Oh, okay. So I'd have to make an appointment to come up there?
Yeah, at the moment or until we design the kit for your truck.
Okay. Because it's an ISX 400. That's what the specs say on the sheet.
Yeah, but every make, model, and then what little features they like to change on these things between the years is affecting the positioning of where the Dorothy goes on each one of the trucks. So we're in the slow process of making a kit for each and every one of them.
Okay. So if I call your shop, you'd tell me if you could be able to do it, or I just have to...
Yeah, you'd have to get a hold of... Yeah, you have to call and talk to John. He is the one in charge of the Dorothy project there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. I'm looking at the clock. It looks like we're going to head into a break. And when we come back, we'll get to more of your calls and questions. So stick around. This is the Power Hour. I've got Ethan and JR with me from Pittsburgh Power. We're going to get to more of your calls and questions right after this. The CMC registration is open. We just opened it this week. We're excited. Sign-ups are happening. CMC is September 17th through the 21st this year. Council Bluffs, Iowa, the Mid-America Center. Again, registration is open. Get signed up. Things are happening. You don't want to miss out. It is a 5-day intensive business conference. All kinds of things going on. We'll tell you more about it. You can find out more on the website. You can sign up there at letstruck.com. You can always call our TribeCare Team, 855-800-3835. We'll be right back. Kevin Rutherford. All right. Again, I'm looking at the calls. We've got a couple up on the board, but we certainly have room. Now is your chance. Most weeks we have a long list we never get to. Calls seem to be light this week, so go ahead and jump in. Press 1 on your phone, and we'll get to you. Here we go. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. This is the Power Hour. I've got Ethan and JR with me from Pittsburgh Power. We're going to get right back to calls and questions. We're off to Massachusetts. Joe, welcome to the program.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Good.
I got a few items. Last week, you had a gentleman on. He was talking about his ISX, and he was talking about the lift pump. You guys were trying to figure out, I think, Ethan, if it was turned on by a switch or if it was turned on by the key. And I have a 2001 ISX, and the way I understand that lift pump to operate, it goes on with the key, it stays on for 2 minutes, turns itself off. And the reason why they came out with that, I was told many years ago, was because the ISX would lose its prime when it was just sitting for a long period of time, and that lift pump was just to prime the lines so the truck would start. Now, I've had many Cummins people tell me that that lift pump has to work all the time, meaning every time you start the truck, otherwise the truck won't run. Now, I replaced mine once because it had stopped working. I drove it for 3 years without the lift pump. They put a new one on for $1,400. It lasted about 1 year, and then I bypassed it and was driving it again for another 9 years until I took it into Cummins one day, and they told me, oh, this truck's not going to ever run right without that lift pump being bypassed. You need a new lift pump. And I told them, don't even touch it because the truck has 1 million miles since it was bypassed. So just to give you a little education on Cummins lift pump.
Yeah,
that guy last
week.
week. I'm sorry, the guy last week was having air troubles. He was sucking air, and you guys were thinking maybe it was the lift pump. He could bypass that and see if it helps him.
Yes, that's more than possible on that. Now, I noticed, and we had this in the shop a few times learning the hard way there, because I sometimes disconnect them when we're working on the trucks, when we're cycling the keys, so they're not always running.
Right.
They do run between 1 and 2 minutes. It depends on which engine and which calibration is in it. But on the newer common rails, they seem to be more important, especially on startup. Now, like on the older models with their pre-common rail, I've seen them run an indefinite amount of time without a lift pump working. Now, the new common rail tends to be a little bit more sensitive than the old fuel setup on the ISFM. So, because I had one in the shop, we couldn't get it to start until we plugged the lift pump in, and it was happy after we did that part. And that was on the new common rail one. But I've seen it many times where they're broken and they come in, and I don't even, being that they're god-awful expensive, unless you're having an issue with holding the prime, they're typically not a required part.
What year did they start that? The newer one?
Halfway through 2011. So in 2011, you could still get either or. It would depend on where you bought your truck and where it was manufactured at, and until they ran out of the old engines there, then they swapped over to the new ones.
Okay. On another subject, now you guys were just talking earlier about batteries for the ECM. I always hear people talk about the ECMs on the 60 Series Detroits. What about the ISX? Does that have a battery in it as well, in the ECM?
I have never seen one in one, and we've taken them apart. It does not rely on an ECM RTC battery. Okay.
Because I'm having a problem now, and I didn't know if maybe that was something I should do. I have a problem with my gauges. I have a little computer screen that gives me all my fuel mileage, and it'll bring up codes if something is wrong. It's on the left side of my dash on a 2001 Volvo 770. And lately, this screen goes dead, and it says no data. And when it goes dead, there's also some gauges right there. Pyrometer, oil pressure, turbo, and coolant. they all go to zero, like they've all lost power. It doesn't change the way the truck runs, but it comes and it goes. It'll be off for 10 minutes. It'll come back on for 10 minutes. Never affects the way it runs. Any idea?
Yeah, all the Volvo dashes are data linked, so it's just reading data from the ECM, and all the gauges read off that. The Volvo dashes are notorious for the plugs in the back. Over time, there's solder connections inside the dash that break. That's 99% of the time what happens. I rarely pull dashes, resolder pins, and everything works, and that's usually the
okay. So check the plugs on the back of it.
Right?
It's
not even that. It's inside the dash. You got to take the dash apart and resolder all the solder connections for those pins.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. And then I got one more question. Is it possible to push start or pull start a truck with an automatic transmission?
No.
Okay. Didn't know, since a lot of them, the automatics are, well, some of them are automatic, computer-controlled boxes over a manual transmission.
Well,
right?
Virtually all Class 8 trucks are really what we should call auto shift transmissions. They're not automatics. A true automatic, like in a Class 8, is almost unheard
Allison.
of. Yeah, true Allison, really, really rare. You almost never see it. Some off-road applications. But the other, I was just wondering about this. You have the 2-pedal auto shifts with a centrifugal clutch, but there are still some 3-pedal with a manual clutch. Just don't know if there's any way to get that gear to engage on a 3-pedal. You might actually.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I think the ECM wants to see the engine running before it'll let you start shifting.
I think you're right. So I think even with the 3-pedal, you're just out of luck. Even though it is a manual transmission and you should be able to pull start it, the electronics will stop it from engaging, I believe.
Okay. And the one guy that was just on talking about his money truck, I believe he was talking about an old truck he bought and keeps making money with it.
Yes.
Is that what I was under? Right? Okay. Yeah. Kudos to him. I listened to your show last night, Kevin, where you had a guy come on that his father would like to buy him a brand new truck.
Oh, yeah.
To start a business.
Yeah.
I like to cringe. One thing I just like to say, guys a lot of times go out and buy an inexpensive old truck to get started to make money. And then they always feel that they need to upgrade.
Right.
You don't upgrade when you're making money with a piece of equipment, is my philosophy.
That
keep the truck. It makes you money.
It's a really good point. I talk all the time about get started with something inexpensive because it minimizes the risk and you're going to make money. But you're absolutely right. If that's the way to make money, why change? Unless you're just doing really well and you want a new truck. I get all that. But the call last night, I think it was going to be a huge mistake. Hopefully he rethinks that. Let's get started on another call. We'll carry it through the break. We're off to Georgia. Jesse, welcome to the program.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good. What's on your mind today?
I'm going to try to make this quick. I'm almost to my delivery, but I had a question about my engine. I've got an 05 Kenworth, excuse me, W900. It's got the C15 A-Cert Cat. That's the MSX. And recently, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I put a manifold, had a crack in it anyway. I put a new manifold in, and since then I've kind of heard the only way I know to describe it is a thumping, a really light thumping noise just when I'm on the throttle, I'm gearing out. And was wondering, I did take about 6 months ago, I took the mufflers off of the truck. I was just wondering if that was something serious to be worried about or maybe it's just exhaust.
hold that thought. The music's playing. We've got to get to a break. We're going to come right back. We'll see if Ethan or JR have any thoughts about that noise. And we'll get to more of your calls and questions right after this. Stick around. Kevin Rutherford. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. This is the Power Hour. I've got Ethan and JR with me from Pittsburgh Power, and we're going to get back to the calls. We were talking with Jesse in Georgia. Any thoughts, guys?
Well, on this Acer, I would, if it happened directly after you changed the manifold, I would go back and make sure that those accordion gaskets on the charged air side all sealed right. So like a boost test would make sure, because those gaskets are like, they're more like a flange. They're notorious for having problems.
Okay, I'm trying to think exactly what you're talking about. I can't place it on my. I actually put the manifold and everything on myself. So I'm trying to think of where you're talking about, but it's not clicking with me.
There's two of them, and there's two gaskets. Where they're like, I'm calling them a gasket, but they're actually they look like a little accordion, and they're like a flex pipe, and they go between the turbos, and I believe one goes to the after cooler. And they're notorious for having problems. I had to replace one of those a few months ago, actually. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I would just double check them. Okay. Other than that, the just that noise is all I was worried about. I had the overhand ran a month or so ago. Well, I had it checked, and it was still good from when it was done a while back, because the guy backed the VVAs off of it, and he did check my cam and said it was starting to show some wear, and maybe by the end of the year I would probably need to think about replacing that, and was just wondering if I would be hearing a noise like that coming from there, because the internal stuff is what really bothers me and worries me about the engine. You know, the outside stuff I can take care of, but yeah, that's a problem that's not going to get better on its own. Eventually, and it could be depending on how bad the cam was, and unless I see it, I couldn't tell you directly if that's the problem, but it's a definite possibility. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I had. I do appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. We are off to Illinois this time. Kyle, welcome to the program.
Hello?
Yep, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Hi, I got a CPL 2592 N14 Cummins that I recently had upgraded by a Cummins shop from 525 1590 to 525 1850. For starters, when they upgraded it, some of the old parameters, like the engine brake coming on cruise, the idle shutdown, that stuff all got changed. So I need to get in and get that stuff straightened out. But I actually lost boost with the higher torque tune. Is there something wrong inside the tune, or what do you think's going on with that?
Yeah, the boost on that should have stayed the same because I'm familiar with the 2592 CPL on the N14 Select Plus there. Yeah, you shouldn't have lost any boost. You should have gained a few pounds down low because the peak horsepower remains the same. It just added more fuel down low. So something doesn't quite sound right there. I would want to double check to make sure they put the right program in it. Because it sounds like to me, because the parameters that you described shouldn't change when you program it, unless you tell it to. So they might have put the wrong program in and then also erased all your parameters.
Or they lifted one from another truck and put that on it.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Well, that was another thing I was going to ask, because now my ECM reading, this is a 2-year-old Recon with about 60,000 miles on it, and my ECM shows, what was it, 331,000 miles at this point.
Yeah, and it's telling me that somebody stuffed the wrong program in there. And that would explain your fuel mileage loss, or not the fuel mileage, the boost loss.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that someone didn't do it quite right, and I've seen that many times on the Cummins. The correct way would have been to go to the Cummins server, especially being that it's, if a Cummins dealer does it, they have access to the correct program for that truck. So it shouldn't have changed anything unless they told it to.
Okay. And then what's a good horsepower and torque rating for economy with these engines? I was told the 500 to 525 is pretty economical.
Yeah, the N14, especially with that CPL, it's rated at the 5 1/4 1850 torque. So I got nothing against it sitting right there. I see they run real good and they run strong. But in your case, I don't think it's actually anywhere close to that, especially being that you lost boost. It sounds like they put the wrong program in it.
Okay, yeah, because I'm down about a half mile to the gallon in the last month as well. So.
Yeah, and it's very important on the Cummins that you stick to the CPL with especially programming. When you change that, you often get results that you're not expecting. Because again, the 2590 CPL is extremely similar, but you can't put the program from a 2590 into a 2592. Odd results can happen.
Okay. All right. Is this an engine you commonly tune, or?
Yeah.
Because after this, I don't feel like going back to the dealer.
Yeah, I've done my fair share of the Cummins N14s there. So I've seen enough that we can fix the problem.
Okay. All right. And how far out are you booked right now?
Right now, we're only about 1 to 2 weeks, so we're not too far out. And occasionally, I would have time to squeeze something like that in. That being, it would be a engineering department job and not a shop job.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can get out there pretty easy, so I'll get a hold of you probably next week then.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, sounds
great.
Great.
Thank you.
We're going to squeeze in one more before we've got to wrap this up. We are off to Arizona. Lloyd, welcome to the program.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Good. About 3.5 years ago, I had my C15, 03 C15 rebuilt. I sent all the parts out to Pittsburgh Power and had them balanced and all that. Got her back together. That was at $1.38 million. Right now, she got a little over $1.7 million. Fuel mileage is hovering mid-7s, low 8s, depending on the load I'm doing and how fast I'm running. And just curious, on this new rebuild, how often should I get an overhead done, or is it due for one, or should I just wait for my fuel mileage to start going haywire?
I like to see them done at about 200,000. the first time, and then after that, I'd run it until you notice something.
I agree.
Oh, okay. So just go ahead and get it scheduled and get her in and have her looked at.
Yeah, get it done once. 100 to 200,000. I'd do it maybe as early as 100, but the valves will become a little more friendly with the head, and that's going to change the lash a little bit, which changes the valve timing. And yeah, so you need to at least once. I'd like to see it done, and then then keep an eye on your oil analysis and such, and until you see some reason to do it.
Yeah, oil analysis has been great. No problems there. Have been using a little bit more oil than I thought. Usually between 8,000 and 12,000, I have to put a gallon in. And but other than that, she's just running great. I've always had to put oil in that between 8,000 and 12,000, even before I rebuilt her. So I just think that's the nature of the beast on that big motor. But okay, yeah, I'll get that scheduled out then and have them take a look at it and maybe get her dialed in a little bit tighter.
All right.
Good deal.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
I'm looking at the clock. Looks like we're going to have to wrap this one up. We are all out of time. We will do it again real soon. Thanks for joining me. This has been the Power Hour. Thanks to the guys at Pittsburgh Power. We had Ethan and JR. John joined us there at the end. Check out the website. It's letstruck.com. CMC registration is officially live. It's open. You can get signed up. CMC will be September 17th through the 21st. Council Bluffs, Iowa at the Mid-America Center. 5 jam-packed days. It's going to be bigger and better than ever. So don't wait. Get signed up. You can go to the website at letstruck.com and sign up there, or you can call our TribeCare team. 855-800-3835. It's 855-800-FUEL. We'll see you next time. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey. I'm Kevin Rutherford.
We doing another one, do we now?
We are. We're going to, I was just going to say that. We've got some calls, not enough for a whole show, but we'll go ahead and get started. And we'll just keep taking calls till we run out of them. So now it looks like we just got a bunch more. We might have enough to do another show. Keep hitting one, and we will get to your calls and questions. Here we go.
Your money, your taxes, your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry. This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs, back in your pocket.
Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. The website is letstruck.com. The show is all about the business of trucking, and today is the Power Hour. We've got the guys from Pittsburgh Power here helping out. We'll take your calls and answer your questions about everything maintenance. Engines, performance, fuel mileage, modifications, upgrades, horsepower, torque, emissions, you name it. We'll talk about it. All you have to do is pick up the phone and ask the question. We're going to get to those calls in just a minute. Ethan, John, welcome back.
Thanks, Kevin. Good to be here.
As always, good to be here, Kevin.
Great to have you here. So, John, we missed you at the open of the last show. I hear you were just out goofing off at lunch or something silly.
I was, yeah. We have a supplier here, took us out, Pete and I, out to lunch, so ran into the show a little bit. Sorry about that.
That's all right. So, but we'll give you another shot. Anything new and exciting you want to talk about this week?
Not really, no. It's been pretty mundane this week here. Nothing too interesting.
Yeah, same thing.
Working on some more Dorothy installs. Been busy with that, but other than that, just fixing trucks.
Yeah, well, same with me. I've been traveling, still on the road, since the 1st of February. I'm out.
Oh, you're not back yet?
I'm still not home. I'm in Palm Desert, California for another week. And I thought I was going home after this, but I've got another opportunity back in Scottsdale. It's only a couple hours away, and one in Flagstaff. So I might go do 2 more things before I get home. I might, before the summer's out, though, I might be heading your way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So if we get back, or if I get back, I know Lisa's going. I'm pretty sure I'm going to. If I get back that way, I want to schedule some time and come over and hang out with you guys.
That'll be terrific.
All right. What do you say we get to some
calls? We need to do something to your truck. To your. What were we going to do to your RV? We were talking about doing something to your RV. I forget what it was.
It still needs more horsepower. Lots more horsepower.
Or we could do that, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I think I figured something out for
Did
that
you?
one.
Okay, that's a C12, C13. C13, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we might have that for you.
Yeah, just to, I like driving slow. 60 miles an hour, and this is comfortable. That's normally where I set the cruise. I'm embarrassed to say that even at 60, I have a really hard time getting even 6 miles to the gallon. This thing is just not good on fuel, and there's not a lot I could do. Some of your tuning and a couple other things might help. But what is really crazy, on this trip, I just had multiple events back to back. I was filling in on other shows. My schedule just got out of control. So I was trying to minimize my driving time. So when I got out west this time and the speed limit was 75, I was doing 75. I was getting 4.2 miles to the gallon.
That's serious.
That is just awful.
That's really bad.
4.2. You can watch the fuel gauge go down.
That sounds like a good project.
Yeah. We need to work on it.
See what we can do to improve that.
That's right. Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's see if we can solve anybody else's problems. Let's head off to Pennsylvania. Daniel, welcome to the program.
And how are you fellas doing?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Good. How are you?
Well, I got a fancy new toy at the Mid-America Truck Show, and it's that TST the pressure and temperature setup.
Okay.
Yep.
I gotta say I'm digging it, kind of geeking out a little bit, and it just kind of got me to thinking. I've got H-rated steer tires on my Cascadia and their Michelins, and I got 170,000 miles on my M710s in the back. I run. Well, right now there's about 120 pounds at like 30 degrees, cold, and about it's like 107, 108 right now. I try to get pressure. I got the low pressure setting at 100 on the drives, and I got the low pressure warning to go off at 115 on a steer. Where should I be kind of go, whoa, as far as high pressure and temperature to go off at?
Honestly, I've never seen a problem with high temp or pressure. And they can climb quite a bit. When you start, high already, and you get out into the desert Southwest on a really hot day, you can see some pretty serious climb in temperature and pressure, but I've never seen it cause a problem.
Okay. What kind of temps are you talking? This is all news. This is all new to me.
What have you seen so far?
No more than, let's see, I think the alarm went off at about 127 degrees, and I bumped it up from there. So I got down into Texas, and I saw, I think it was 140 something.
Yeah, I was going to say the other day, speaking of driving 75, which I was doing across I-10, on a nice, hot, sunny day, and I was approaching 150.
Okay. That's interesting. They make that kind of heat. I didn't realize they would. Our target on the race cars is always 100 degrees plus ambient. That's what we run, race tires. So it's
so you could see like 180 or 190. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So target temp is always about 100 plus ambient. It's just kind of a rule of thumb.
Huh. Okay. Yeah.
And how much growth did you see pressure-wise? How high did the pressure go?
I think the steers, the max I got, those never hit 150, and the dries never hit 130. And this was 82 degrees down in the Houston, Beaumont, Texas area, but I run 60 mile an hour, and let's see, my average is now 30 days 697, lifetime 655.
Okay.
Yeah, even...
that's good. That's good data. I like that they've done that.
Even when you go to extremes, for example, I always adjust my pressure cold. And I've even been, at the top of a pass where it's cold. You're putting a lot more pressure in to get up to that 115, 120 mark. And then later in the day, you're back down, at sea level and it's really hot. And you'll see big increases, but I've just never seen it cause a problem.
Okay. Well, at least the good news is I've got the 130 PSI cold Alcoas on here. So
there you go.
Should be good there.
Yep. You should be all
cool.
set.
No, but I thought you said you had I thought you said they had a temp sensor also. Did they also tell you tire temps? That's what I was thinking of whenever you're saying those numbers.
Yeah, it does temp and pressure. So it's interesting because they work, they move with each other, but you can see, I've seen a 20-degree difference in tire temperature based on which side of the truck the sun is shining on. So going down the road, if you've got the sun really beating on one side of the truck and not so much the other, I've seen easy 20-degree variance in temperature just from the sunshine.
That's cool. Do those devices log that data? Can you look at it later or just live? There's no way to log that.
I don't think there's any logging. No, not on any of the units I've seen. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it is. It's interesting information. I like watching mine. Let's go to Texas this time. Ronnie, welcome to the program.
Hello?
Yep, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hey, guys. I spoke to Ethan earlier about an ISX, and I've run across a Caterpillar engine or a truck. I know it's not Kevin's favorite, but I just can't get into the new emissions. The EGR is the biggest emissions I want to deal with, but it's a 2007 Freightliner Columbia with a 13-speed. I don't know the gears. I'm on the way over to go look at it now, but it has a C15 in the truck, and I just wanted some information on that motor. Good, bad, ugly.
Okay. Hold that thought. The music's playing. I've got to get to a break. We'll come right back, and we'll get some thoughts and ideas. Stick around. We'll be right back with more stuff. I'm Kevin Rutherford. Check out the website. It's letstruck.com. CMC registration is open. Don't wait. Get signed up. You can do it on the website, or you can call our TribeCare Team, 855-800-3835. I'm Kevin Rutherford. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. Ethan and John are here with me from Pittsburgh Power. This is the Power Hour. We were talking with Ronnie in Texas. John, Ethan, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I believe that should be an NXS Caterpillar. And no, we got nothing against them. It's the twin turbocharged A-Cert. I'm always a big fan of the twin turbos because you can get lots of boost, and if you want that 1,000 horsepower number, you really don't have to change your turbos to do it.
They move a lot of air, yeah.
Oh, wow. What kind of fuel economy, just stock back, everything stock? And again, I don't know I'm fixing to find out what the gear ratio. What kind of fuel economy can you expect with nothing, just stock? And then what kind of fuel economy can you expect with tune and everything else out of the Caterpillar?
I'm going to guess, me and John looked at each other, we're going to shoot for about 5.5.
5.5 on a good day?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt there on that one. They're not notoriously known for great fuel mileage.
Yeah, and, if we do a bunch of work, it might get you high 6s.
Yeah, the best one out there I think I have is in the low 7s with the A-Cert. And again, it varies depending on what load you're pulling too. But it would vary. But 5.5 is a good average if I'm going to guess blindly.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah, that's a pretty honest assessment, though.
Yeah, it's a good place to start.
I think I might want to stay away from that.
The Cats, as solid as they are, they're not the most efficient engine.
A lot of power, just not fuel economy, huh?
Tends to be the case.
Okay.
All right, we are going to head off to Utah. Jerry, welcome to the program.
Hello?
Yes, what's on your mind today?
Hello?
I'm sorry. Hey, this is Terry. I have a 2007 Freightliner with I believe it's a D-Deck 4. We just had it dynoed, did a few things to it, put a new CAC, new EGR, and new turbos on it. We're getting right now 396 to the rear wheels. He suggested changing the air filters out, so we'll do that. But I hear you guys talk about these tunes. What do I do with this? The other thing they suggested is maybe that I do it's got 1.1 million miles on it. It was supposed to have a new engine 300,000 plus or minus ago. There's no documentation on it, but I'm trying to decide, do I do an overhead on it now and then go get it tuned, or what do I do to get this ready to run? It's not on the road yet. We're just trying to get it ready so that when we jump, it's 100%, we're ready to go, and I don't have to worry about it for a while.
If you don't know the history of it, it can't hurt to run the overhead. It's more of a precaution at that point, being that you don't know, especially a truck you just purchased. It can't hurt to have all the details, especially with no paperwork. But I would need to know for the tune, we can do that remotely or here. That's a DDEC 5, by the way, if it has EGR and it's a Series 60.
Yeah, I'd like to see check the blow-by as well. I'd like to see you do a manometer test on the crankcase pressure. Just that'll let you know engine health. Piston and seal and so forth.
They did do that, and I think it was 2 pounds, or 2 inches a column, or
2 inches.
I don't remember. Yeah. I don't have the paperwork in front of me, and I'm driving right now. But
2 inches is a good number.
That's a good number. 3 is max, so you're part way there. You're halfway through its life, probably, maybe a little bit more.
Okay, so go ahead and do the overhead. They said that was going to be $250 or less than $300, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then, and that was at a Smith Power out in Utah. And then, who do we get? I went on your site and I don't see anybody close to me that can do the remote tunes. Approximately how
Where are
much
you?
do they in Utah, Salt Lake area?
You're in Utah. Does Bruce have a unit?
He does.
Bruce has a unit again, right, in Colorado.
Yeah, it's out for the moment, but he will here again shortly.
He'll have it again soon, yeah.
The next couple of days will be in his possession.
So if you could get over to Colorado, that'd probably be the closest. If not, down into, we've got a couple of guys in Arizona.
And you say Colorado, what part of Colorado?
Bruce, he's
Denver?
on I-70. He's not quite as far as Denver.
Oh,
So
okay.
He's up in the mountains there, Summit County.
Summit County and on I-70. Okay.
Right. Yep.
And Bruce
So right there,
is
like the Silverthorne exit.
Silverthorne. Okay. Okay, I know where that's at and run that regular. Okay.
Our Bruce, the owner here. Yeah, he's got.
Oh,
we
okay.
set him up with a remote tuning package. Yeah, he'll be picking it back up tonight. The fellow in Denver has it, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, we know it works. Ethan just used it the other day. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I can't get there right away. I'm busy for the next 6 days with what I've got. So that would, and I'm guessing he's traveling, correct?
He is right now. I know he'll be there till the 14th or something. I think he travels back. So he's there all the rest of this week and next week. Okay.
Oh, okay. That might be worth checking into then. I guess I could call your office and they could hook me up with him then. And is that
Right.
correct?
Yeah. Call engineering, and we'll put you on the schedule and make sure someone's here to do it whenever you can get there, and we'll make arrangements with them to know.
There you go. We're off to Oregon this time. Keith, welcome to the program.
Thank you. My question is, I've got a MX-13 Peterbilt or pack car motor, and they told me that I need to do an overhead adjustment periodically, and also on oil changes or like by the mileage. Do you guys? Is there a way to test to see if that stuff is necessary, or do you have to just do it by mileage or time, or how do you do that?
I would follow the whatever the procedure says for when it needs to be done in the service manual. I'm not sure what the mileage is on that overhead. I don't know that off the top of my head.
They
But I would
say
do
at
whatever it asks you to
40,000.
do.
And
Brand
same
new
thing
car.
with the oil changes. Yes.
Okay.
The oil,
unless you're running a bypass filter, I would follow whatever it says in that book.
yeah, and that's the key.
All right, and
You have two options on
Right.
your oil change. Either follow their recommended, which I believe on that engine is 50 or 60,000 for the oil change, or install a bypass oil filtration system and then sample every 25,000 miles and only change when the sample tells you need to.
Perfect. I have one more question, if you guys don't mind me asking. Fuel mileage. I pull a curtain side, 48-foot curtain side, and I'm wondering, is there any modifications that I can do to either the truck or the trailer, or what would be the modification that would increase my fuel mileage the most?
Oh, there's lots of them.
Well, I don't know what to do for those.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
fleet air
Go ahead,
filter,
Kevin.
fleet air filter, flow below, air tabs. You may be able to do some modifications on the trailer. I'd have to see it. If you go with the bypass oil filter like the OPS, you can switch to synthetic oil because then it becomes cost effective. So there are still plenty of things. Good low rolling resistant tires. We can measure the rolling resistance on the tires, and that can have a big impact on fuel economy. So there are several things you can do.
Okay, I am assuming that the curtain side is not the most efficient trailer to pull.
It's got some aerodynamic issues. Yeah, you're going to give up some fuel economy, but that doesn't mean we can't improve it. I mean, I've never found a truck or an operation that I couldn't improve fuel economy.
I believe you.
Yeah, all
thank you.
All the front of
Go
the
ahead.
truck stuff should still be the same, right, Kevin? Everything you do to the front for like I said, the flow below. And what about under trailer stuff on those curtain sides? Is that worthwhile or no?
Some of them just because of the structure on how they're built, the under trays don't work. They just won't mount properly. They're not built the same way as a van. Okay. Depending, though, sometimes we can put air tabs or some of the top or backside modifications. The lead edge, sometimes we can put on those trailers. So, it's one of those you just get truck and trailer in and you start crawling all over it and figuring out what you can do. All right,
guys.
There's the music. I'm going to get to a break. We're going to come right back with more stuff. Don't go away. Check out the website. It's letstruck.com. CMC registration is open. Get signed up. You can do it at the website or you can call 855-800-3835. We'll be right back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. This is the Power Hour. I've got Ethan and John with me. We're going to head off to Pennsylvania. Ron, welcome to the program.
Yeah, hi. I was just over there at Pittsburgh Power the other day, and I had some work done. And I'm wondering about the turbo boost on my truck. I've got a 3406 Cat 600, and I've got your turbo on it and your manifold, and the most turbo boost I can get is around 31.5. And I was wondering, is that normal, or should I be looking for more?
Where are you getting this reading from? Is it an analog gauge? I believe it would be on your truck.
I've got the scan gauge. That's where I'm getting it from. The analog gauge is the manifold pressure gauge. And it's kind of sluggish, and it just doesn't seem to give me a...
Yeah, the fitting.
Yeah, you got two things going on here. One, the scan gauge stops reading at that magical 31 point whatever number there. It varies a little, but it only measures up till about 32 pounds. And that's not the... It's a physical data link issue for some reason, and this is on every truck I've seen, that 31.0 whatever number is the maximum amount that it can transmit on the data link for some reason. Now, the mechanical gauge is lying to you because there's the little damper that Cat installs from the factory. It needs to be cleaned or removed.
Just remove it.
Yeah, that's the easiest way.
Yeah, the 90-degree fitting that goes into the side of the head, the manifold area of the head, they get carboned up on the inside. It's got a really tiny orifice in it, and they plug.
Can that be cleaned?
It could be, but you can just take it off and replace it with a regular 90-degree fitting, and it's fine.
Okay. All right, I'll try that.
That's why it's sluggish. Yeah. Try that first and see what it's really making, and then give us another call.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. We are off to Minnesota this time. John, welcome to the program.
Hi. My dad has a 1965 Kenworth with a 335 Cummins. The oil filter is in the oil pan. Do you stock something like that?
No, we don't.
Power?
Yeah.
You don't order something like that.
Let me check my side box. I think I might have one.
Last I heard, we had a couple of guys that had 335s and some old military equipment or something, and they put a filter head off of a newer engine on it. Evidently, it bolts right onto the side of the block. So You need to go scrounge, get something off of a something a little bit newer, and you can move the filter head onto the side of the engine like the newer ones.
Oh, excellent. That's even better yet. Yeah, nice buy something that people stock. So, but
yeah,
thanks
you don't have to go. You don't have to go a whole lot newer to get there either. It's a pretty easy upgrade.
Okay, excellent. That's the one that went on a small cam Cummins. Find one like that just bolts on the side of the engine.
Exactly, bolted right on the side of the engine. Yep.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the call. Don't get that call very often. Let's go to Arizona. Raphael, welcome to the program.
Hey, Kevin. Looking at upgrades for my truck. I got a 94 FLD with a Detroit Series 60. And I haven't done nothing to it. I ran it for about a year now.
Okay, well then just
94. That's a D-Deck 2, isn't it?
Might be a 2, yeah.
Could be either. I can't remember exactly when they switched them over.
Yeah, would have to know if we're D-Deck 2 or D-Deck 3.
The engine of the year of the engine's a 95.
Okay, that's a D-Deck 3 then.
Yeah,
we can do all sorts of stuff to that.
There's lots. Yeah, show up at Pittsburgh Power.
Pretty much anything under the sun with that one.
That's right. Show up at Pittsburgh Power with money in your hand, and it'll be like Christmas.
It'll be like Christmas. I haven't done you guys, because I haven't done the overhead since I bought it. So that's and I heard you guys got somebody out here in Arizona to do that. You would do that overhead.
No, we don't actually have a shop there. What we've got is we've got one of our remote tuners. I'm not sure if those guys have a full service shop or not. Our dealers that we talk about are not garages. They're usually just guys with a laptop that we set them up with all the software and everything we need to do tuning remotely.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I've been I average 6.5. 6.5. Okay. That's my best I could do. So that's what I'm looking at. No, not too bad. So I know I'm going to do tires, but trying to do ECM or turbo or something to get it more fuel economy.
Yeah, we should get that. We should get the modification wise to the engine, some tuning, a manifold, and the non-wastegated turbo breathes a whole lot nicer than that little wastegated one you have, so that'll perk it up a bit. And then the fleet air filter, and go from there. Number of other things you could do on top of that, but I would start with the manifold and turbo, and then a tune on top of that.
Alrighty,
Yep.
So okay, so I'll be probably in a week or two. I'll be calling your shop for hopefully manifold and turbo. Get as a package, then
give us a call.
Alrighty, sir. All right. Well, that's pretty much all my questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks
all
for
right,
the call.
Thank you.
Let's head off to Indiana. David, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Kevin. We got a oil sample there we wanted to look at.
All right. I've got it here in front
of
me. Series 60. What year is this?
That's 03 Kenworth with a D-Deck 4.
Yeah, we've got a soot problem for some reason.
You're only seeing part of that soot problem. If we had more history there, you would see it white, green, red before you see the green there. So I've been chasing this soot for a while.
So you've got 53,000 miles on this oil and about 310,000 on assuming an in-frame, right?
Yes, although that in-frame number is a estimated number.
Okay.
According to the fellow I bought the truck off of a couple years ago.
All right. So we had a sample back in the end of December, And you were only at 0.3 on soot, which is nothing. You went maybe another 20,000 miles or so.
I had a 2.0 before that.
Right. Well, and I see.
Yeah, I had a 2.0 before that.
I see a 5.0.
Changed the boost sensor.
Okay.
Didn't change the oil, and it come down to 0.3. Now I'm going back up.
Yeah, now it's up to 3.9.
Change the boost sensor. So
any thoughts, John? Ethan? I'm confused.
Why would changing the boost sensor do anything? Unless it affected the fuel curve to that degree. But still, if it's getting by the rings or by the exhaust guides.
Yeah, I don't know, but the driver was able to feel a difference when we changed that boost sensor, and the gauge is almost doubled on his boost pressure, but that's running the scan gauge.
Almost sounds like they had the wrong sensor on it.
They had the wrong one, yeah.
Because it looks just like a GM. Oh, it is made by GM.
Yeah, it is GM.
It looks just like the one on my pickup truck, and it actually will plug in, too.
Same, yeah. There are a couple of different ranges of that sensor, but
yeah,
they're all pretty much the same.
So
but you can put the wrong one in the wrong application.
Why would we, after that seemed to have solved the problem, why do we have it climbing pretty high again?
Why did it come back? That's my concern.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally believe there's only a couple of places where soot comes from. That's either by the rings or through the valve guides. And I guess it could be aggravated if the overhead's way off and you're hanging the valve open too long over overlap.
Yeah. We have run the overhead.
Okay.
Pressure tested the charge air cooler, replaced the air cleaner, and none of that stuff seemed to matter until I changed that boost sensor. But now I got it coming back.
All right, hold that thought. I've got to get to a break. I don't have any ideas. I think this one's going to require some hands-on troubleshooting. We'll be right back. We'll get to more of your calls and questions right after this. I'm Kevin Rutherford. This is the Power Hour. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. This is the Power Hour. I've got Ethan and John with me from Pittsburgh Power, and we're going to get right back to your phone calls. We are off to... we're going to go north of the border this time. Randy in Canada, welcome to the program.
Hey, guys. I'm calling for a friend today. She got an 06 Volvo with an ISX. Got 1 million+ miles on it, but she's always pulled light freight, so it's never worked hard. She seems to think she's got some excessive blow-by, and of course the first shop she went to says it's got to be rebuilt, which is kind of ridiculous. I don't know if that has a breather hose on it or a crankcase filter in that 06, and what's the best way to determine if her blow-by is excessive from the rings?
On that model, it does not have a crankcase.
It didn't have it yet.
Yeah, not yet, the sensor. So the only way to truly do the test is on a dyno with the manometer and the special tool that Cummins requires for that engine. So that's the only way to truly know the health of the cylinders on that one.
Now, why?
And the only other way to the only other thing that would be creating blow-by would be the turbo. So sometimes if you're not so sure it's the rings, you take the drain tube off the turbo and plug it and run the turbo drain into a bucket and see if that's it and fix it. So there are only two places where crankcase pressure will come from. So it's the turbo or the piston rings.
Yeah, and there's a test, and it has to be less than 16 inches of blow-by.
Mm-hmm.
But that's after they use these special tools that orifices it down.
Right.
So it's a procedure that Cummins has laid out for you. You don't happen to know what her oil consumption's like there?
That's what I was going to ask.
No, I just started talking to her about the problem. She seems to think that she's using a quart every day.
Well, why
so
she?
I told her basically she needs to. Go ahead.
Well, first off, she should stop putting in a quart. I mean, really, with an 11-gallon capacity, a gallon, when you're a gallon low, adding a gallon is not going to hurt anything at all. And I've seen a lot of engines that if you keep putting a quart or two in, they'll keep burning it right back out. And if you wait and let it get a gallon low, it will go further.
It may
well,
sit
that's
there
what
for a while,
suggested to her. That way she can actually track it better. I told her to change the oil, wash the engine because she is a girl. She says she only washes it twice a year. And then I also suggested she get your oil catch can so she can determine if that's where it's actually coming from or if she has another leak on the motor.
So that's her indication of excessive blow-by. She's getting oil everywhere?
Yes, she is a girl.
Well, I know lots of guys. So
she could have another leak somewhere.
That's
that
right.
Could be a leak.
Yeah. So
but I love her to death, and she was told by the shop that she has blow-by coming out of the tube. But I've got almost 500,000 on mine, and I get a little bit of blow-by too. But I've got your catch can, and mine's running just like a top.
Yeah, I would verify the oil consumption and not top it off until it gets a gallon low, and then I'd be looking for leaks. And then you always could get the crankcase pressure tested, but I think oil consumption might be a better indicator.
Right, and then do the manometer test on the dyno, and then have the turbo pressure checked also.
There you go.
Yeah, and make sure they follow the Cummins procedure on that.
And I think with that, we'll be on the right track. Let's head off to Wyoming this time. Ricky, welcome to the program.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. I'm the guy with the old Ford Aeromax with the B model in it, and I just got the Vibratech dampener and the mercury balance ring from Pittsburgh PowerHour less than a month ago. And I want to thank you guys for getting it right out to me so I could get it and get it installed. I did the installation myself. It went really pretty smooth. And the thing that I guess my question is this. I had the dampener replaced shortly after I got the truck. And less than 2 years, that cat dampener went bad. Now, I've had some freak things happen on the motor. One was the idler shaft in the timing system that does nothing but run the timing gear broke off, and I had to have, the overhead completely rebuilt, valves and push rods and everything. Could that bad harmonics be what set up that shaft to break off? Because the bearing was still free spinning on the gear, and the shaft just broke off flush with the front of the block.
That's definitely a possibility, yes.
Okay. Because this motor, when I got the truck, it had like alternator bracket adjusters that have been repaired and broken and repaired again, and so I'm thinking that my entire engine problems that I've had with this B model has been due to bad harmonics, because the motor only had showing on the odometer 291,000 when I purchased the truck. So it was a low mileage motor, and then unfortunately the shop that did the head, they tightened up the valve lash adjustment, and it ended up
Uh-oh. I think, let me see if I can save that. Ricky, are you there?
Awesome.
Ricky? Were you guys able to give any feedback on what we've got?
No, it sounds like all of his stuff was related to that, the torsional damper. Sounds like the truck ran with one that was locked up for a while.
Yeah, that's same thoughts.
Got it. It's amazing how long we've been talking about that damper, and yet how ignorant the majority of the industry still is.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, coming from motorsports, I mean, you have to have a damper on the race engines, or they'll take themselves apart.
Yeah,
it's a pretty, especially the high-strung, the high RPM ones that we work with. They absolutely need it, and you can see it here too. I mean, it's a lower frequency, but it's amazing the damage that it does.
Yeah, let's try to squeeze in one more call. Let's go to New Mexico. David, welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call. My question on the Volvo engines with the internal dampeners, are they required to be changed? Do we have the same problems with those?
I'm not sure. I've often questioned that. If they've got that thing somehow open to engine oil and it uses the engine oil as the viscous fluid, I think it might last forever. So, but I could be wrong. I have no idea. It might be worth a Google search.
Okay, I will do that. The reason I'm asking is I'm considering a Volvo tractor as my purchase. So, and listening to you guys all the time, that had me curious.
Well, I'm not sure of the answer
I'd like
either. If it
know
does
more
need
about that.
Yeah, if it does need to be replaced, it's certainly not easy. So that's going to be a challenge. If it doesn't need to be replaced, I guess that's one plus mark for the Volvo engine, but it's the only one I can think of.
The newer one's pretty good, isn't it?
I still just don't find anything very impressive about it. I don't see really good fuel economy numbers like you would expect. Nobody ever says, boy, my Volvo just pulls like crazy. There's just not much about that engine to get too excited about. I can say this because Bruce isn't here. It's kind of like Volvo cars. They're pretty solid, but they're just boring. I never understood.
I got you. Yep.
Bruce is such a, gearhead power junkie, and he loves Volvo cars. It must be his one break from, high performance and exciting.
Well, no, his, I'll tell you what, that turbo, that R90S thing he's got, that thing makes like 320 horsepower. It's a quick car.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, there's the music.
All right.
We'll have to debate that some other time. Just not a fan of Volvo engines. Love Volvo trucks. One of my favorites. Just don't like their engines. I've got to get out of here. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time. Be safe. Be profitable. Be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey. I'm Kevin Rutherford. All right, we're all done. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.